Hey, it is Zennial Gamer here today to talk about Lumel rune farming. Now guys, this is going to be a shorter video. I'm only looking at rune farming in this video. I have previously done a video on how to do all the 2A dungeons. I'm going to put a link to that video on screen right now. But that video was done right around the time that Lumel was released. I think the video was, the team in the video was like 2 to 3 minutes long. And then I stopped farming Lumel forever. I farmed only Alunia, and then with the recent kind of rise of destroy runes in inner server battle and arena defense, to a lesser extent in siege defense obviously, and also following getting several predator runes, I decided to go back to Lumel for a while. So when I decided to go back to Lumel, I started messing around with some teams. Now I didn't rune anything specifically for it. I wasn't planning to go into like a full theory craft session. Not gonna lie, I kind of came upon this team partly by accident. Now, about 6 months ago, maybe a year ago, somebody in Discord gave me a team that they were using that averaged about a minute 20, a minute 15, I think, something like that. And that team is kind of what gave me the idea for this team. I told him that if I ever did a video on his team, I'd give him a shout out, and I really apologize. If you're watching this video, bro, I can't remember who it was who told me this because it was so long ago. Drop a comment and I will pin the comment to give you credit. It was Galleon Ralph, Water Drunken Master, and then one other monster, but it was that team that gave me the idea for the Galleon Ralph. And so I started messing around with different things that I can put in, and at the time my Vigor was on a crit damage build, and then I was like, alright, I need a leader skill, I want a little bit more support, and kind of going through the monsters, and I settled on the Purna. And the team worked. It was 100%, and I just kept farming it, and then all of a sudden, I noticed that I was ranked 40 on the leaderboard. I was like, okay, cool, you know, this team must be working really fast. It was giving me great times, and then the rank just kept trickling up, rank 17. I went and started looking at all the ranks above me, and all of those are gimmick teams. So as near as I can tell, this is probably the fastest 100% farming team on the leaderboard right now. You guys can see it running in the background. I do not remember this team having ever failed for me. Now, obviously, I have high rune quality, and if you don't match the rune quality, because I haven't tested down on the rune quality, I'm going to share with you guys my builds and what I think makes this team works, but I can't promise you the floor of the rune quality. I'm sure I'm overkilling it. I've built this team for a couple of other people, and it's about 100% for both of them as well on much lower rune quality, so I know I'm overkilling it. Obviously, higher rune quality will be faster. But anyway, on my runes, on my rune quality, this team has never failed. So with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at what the actual builds are. Alright, so we're going to start off with what I think the heart of this team is. Now, the overall synergy of the team between the Galleon and the Ralph are big, but I think what makes this team 100% is actually the Vigor right here. So, again, the other team that had been told to me in Discord, it used the Water Drunken Master Mao. That team was like 98, 99%, and Vigor has basically Mao's kit with better stats and a little bit better kit and then better stats. So when you see my Vigor, guys, don't panic. This is a siege defense Vigor. This is not the Vigor build that I used when I first built this team, and honestly, this Vigor is much worse for Lumel than the original one I built. So he did huge damage in that build. He did about 10,000 a hit, and because the boss was consistently defense broken due to the Ralph and the Galleon team-ups, he was doing 30,000+ damage for me. That's actually a better, faster build for this, so don't try and mimic this, try and mimic the stats I just put on screen. Now, next up, we have the Galleon. You do want the Galleon to be the fastest monster on your team. He does not need to be this fast. He does not need to be in will runes, but he should be in violent runes. The whole team, honestly, should be in violent runes. If you're really trying to make fast farming times, they should all be in violent runes, but the Galleon can be Vio focus, anything like that. Now, my Galleon happens to have, he does have the additional accuracy, obviously, from the artifact. Galleon, for this level, does not need 85 accuracy like he does in most places in the game. I don't know the actual boss's resistance. I've never seen the data mine stats for Lumel, but usually in PvE, for this type of meta, you probably only need to be somewhere around 45% accuracy on the Galleon. However, obviously, if you're using Galleon elsewhere, he still needs to be 85%. But if you're building your Galleon only for this purpose, you can put him in this crit damage build with 45 accuracy. You can build him slower, just make sure he's the fastest monster on your team, and then he'll work for Lumel. Now, you can notice my Galleon is practically negative HP, like literally plus 4,800 HP, plus 350 defense. It's alright, he does his job, he probably dies sometimes, I don't watch the run. But he does have attribute advantage against the boss, so he doesn't die all that often. He's got lots of sustain from the Purna and from the Vigor, and the fights go really fast. So even if he does die, by the time he dies, the Vigor could pretty much solo out the boss. Now, in terms of artifacts, just stuff that does additional damage on fire and additional damage. Now, next up, we've got the Purna. The original build for Purna was much weaker than this. So Purna is a monster that actually got upgraded, where the Vigor got downgraded for Lumel purposes. Purna is now on a siege defense in a much stronger build. So I know the Purna works with significantly lower rune quality. Now, again, Purna's on Violent Will. I think the original build of Purna was on Violent Nemesis. Don't know if the Nemesis made any difference, but keep that in mind. Again, will runes are not needed for Lumel. So this is the Purna build. Now, in terms of speed tuning, if you're building this team specifically for Lumel, then you would actually want your Purna to be slower. You want the route really going in front of the Purna, just because you actually, if you're building this team just for Lumel, you would honestly want the route going second because of the route's ability to turn cycle on the waves. So if the route goes second, you would be faster on the waves. So if you think about it, right now I'm rank 17 on the server and I am not optimally speed tuned. I'm wasting a lot of time on the waves because my Vigor and my Purna go in front of the route every single time. That's probably 3 to 4 seconds that could be shaved off, which would theoretically be, I think I'm about 4 seconds behind rank 1. So you could theoretically have a farming team hit rank 1 instead of a gimmick team. Anyway, bottom line, in terms of optimal speed tuning, and I'll put this up on screen right now, you would actually want the Purna going last. So the optimal speed tune here would be Galleon first for the AoE defense break attack buff, Ralk second so you clear the waves faster, Vigor third because Vigor is your third defense breaker, and Purna last because now you're pretty much guaranteed to have a defense broken boss, and at that point the Purna is going to just do what it does with its, big damage. And then obviously you would want all of those monsters on maximum damage. You can see for the most part with my Galleon being super squishy and Vigor being an HP scaling monster, the stats kind of take care of themselves. It's fine if the Purna is squishy, mine is plus 349 defense. That's completely fine. The Ralk also is pretty squishy in this build, not as bad as the Galleon, obviously. But then again, the Ralk doesn't have attribute advantage, so he probably does need to be a little bit tankier than the Galleon just to make sure he makes it through to the second or third wave on the boss, or second or third stage on the boss. So this is the Ralk build. Once again, not optimally speed tuned. Once again, missing some crit rate. So the Galleon was missing 9 crit rate from perfection. The 85, because the Galleon has attribute advantage, he needs 85 crit rate. Ralk needs 100 crit rate. So the Ralk also not optimally speed tuned, also missing a little bit of crit rate. The team still does amazing. Now, the Ralk does have 37 accuracy. I would recommend getting a good chunk of accuracy. Again, I haven't seen the boss's data mine stats, so if anybody wants to post the stats for this boss, I can pin that. I guess I can only pin one comment, but just put it in the comments, and whatever the boss's actual resistance is, you need 15 less than that accuracy. So if, for example, the boss has 45 resistance, you need 30 accuracy. Now, the Ralk is on Vio Focus. The artifacts, we've got skill 2 crit damage, skill 1 accuracy, and then just team up damage is basically what you're looking for. Again, not really optimal artifacts for the Ralk either. You could add a lot of team up damage for the Ralk, a lot of skill 1 crit damage, single target crit damage, things like that. Once again, the team I just showed you, they're really, really high quality runes, but they're not actually optimized for PvE. So if you follow the chart that's on screen, you'll probably build it. Well, if you can reach the offensive levels of my PvE stats, because again, I do have really good, of my PvP stats, because again, I do have really good runes. But if you can speed tune the team properly and still get the same amount of offensive output that I'm getting, you'll potentially could even be a rank 1 team on the server. Now, the last thing, I forgot to mention this, although I think it's probably obvious, is you always want to target the boss on all 3 stages with this team. You don't need to kill any of the side minions. So we're going to go ahead and just look at the very end of this run, because this is actually the end of my set of 10 now. I just want to show you guys the average time and kind of reiterate, this is not a gimmick team. This is not a team where I was going for best score. This is a farming team. So the time range is anywhere, that was a slower run. Time range is anywhere from 43 to maybe, I don't know, a minute 10 or so. You can see the overall average time here is a minute 5. And just once again, if you speed tune it properly, you're going to cut 3, 4, 5 or more seconds off of that average time. This team should consistently run under a minute for you. So that's it for today's video, guys. Just a reminder, first of all, the reminder, as you saw on screen, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. Please turn the notifications on, the bell notifications. Obviously, like and leave a comment. That's great encouragement for me to continue producing content. And then the second reminder is, of course, if you were looking for 2A teams, there was a link on screen at the start of the video to the to the video I did previously that showed you teams for all the 2A dungeons in Lumel. Anyway, on that note, guys, as always, I appreciate you watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next time. Hey, it is Zennial. Oh, no, wait, this is the outro. My bad. Hey guys, if you want to see more content, please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell notifications. It's your support that makes me want to create continuing content. I thank you guys for the support, as always, and we'll see you in the next video.